What's up, everybody? Hello, hello, hello. My name is Robert Ferguson. I want to welcome you to where we talk about living a diet-free life, and today is no different. We're going to talk about something called insulin resistance, and what a day it's been. Now, I want to open up and just share with you and get this off my chest, and that is Facebook put some restrictions on me. Okay. Now, this is not the first time that has happened, and I'm sure it's not the last. And now, I'm not in the business of trying to do anything negative. I don't even quite get why they restricted me, but I just share the truth and I substantiate everything. But yeah, for whatever reason, I got restricted. So if and I think I'm down for the next 7 days. So if you look at the date of this video, I can post videos. I can respond through Messenger, but if I use words like if I use no, then it blocks me. I can't send any images. Yeah, it's interesting. Okay, because I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything wrong. Anyway, I want to share with you guys something that is very important to know. I'm going to take my time. I'm not going to take a long time, but I'm going to share something with you. If you have any goals as it pertains to losing weight, improving overall health, I'm going to give it my best attempt to explain why many people have a hard time losing body fat. And you think it's hormones, you think it's who knows what you're thinking. Maybe it's age, but it's not. It's called insulin resistance. Now, you could work with me and I could help you through it. We have over 200 certified coaches in our organization. They could help you through it. And we have an 8-week fat loss challenge, and that can help you and you can learn a lot. That's where I would tell most people to start because it's very inexpensive. And it's 8 weeks, and you can go back to the challenge as often as you want for a whole year, and the knowledge is there because knowledge really is power. Now, some of you want to lose weight, and you're trying all kinds of things. You think it's calories. You just don't know what you don't know. So my goal in our time together today, in this video, whether you're catching me live or replay, is I'm going to bring clarity to what it means when you have insulin resistance. Okay. Now, if you pay attention in the next, I'm going to say 15 minutes, you're going to have a better understanding of what insulin resistance is, why it's one of the primary precursors or drivers for many health conditions that people experience, and why losing weight can be a struggle. Okay. Now, before I dive in, let me just go over a couple things. I made some notes. Let me see. I wrote down 14 proven conditions they come about when you have insulin resistance. Now, most of you don't know you have insulin resistance. Your doctor doesn't test for it. But I'm going to tell you that there's an easy way to figure it out. And I'm going to share that with you. Okay, so here are some conditions. So let me go over these, write them down, share with other people that commonly follow. They commonly follow insulin resistance. So you have insulin resistance, and then boom, you get one of these conditions. Number one, and not in any specific order, high blood pressure. Do you know anyone with high blood pressure? Elevated insulin causes the kidneys to retain sodium and fluid and stiffens the blood vessels. This raises pressure long before blood pressure or blood sugar rises. So high blood pressure. So you've had insulin resistance before you had high blood pressure. So imagine if you had known you had insulin resistance and dealt with insulin resistance, then you wouldn't have high blood pressure, right? That's what I mean by precursor. Number 2, weight gain and stubborn belly fat. You know how many women are walking around putting the blame on little belly fat or gaining unwanted weight out of nowhere? They're saying I'm getting older, or maybe it's hormonal changes, and it's insulin resistance. And you're going to learn a little bit more about that. Fatty liver. There's a lot of people with fatty liver. More kids today are getting fatty liver than ever before in history. We're right around 50% of adults, thin adults, overweight adults, have fatty liver, and most don't even know it because it's not being tested. It usually gets discovered by accident, but insulin resistance is a precursor to fatty liver. High triglycerides. You ever go to the doctor and say, hey, your triglycerides are a little elevated, right? That's fat floating around in your blood. Insulin resistance. Low HDL, that's the healthy cholesterol. Insulin resistance. Like there's the easy way, like when you take our metabolic test that we have, 6 questions, we look at HDL, we look at triglycerides. There's a way to divide those two to find out if you have insulin resistance. Like if you're catching this as a replay or you're one of my clients, all you gotta do is look at our metabolic flexibility assessment test, and it's right there. Okay, right there. Pre-diabetics. You know what's interesting about people who are pre-diabetic? Right now, let's say we have about 330 million people that live in the United States. Okay. 10% of those are type 2 diabetics. So that's about 30 million people, a little more than that are living with type 2 diabetes. So that means if you went to a hair salon or a barbershop, or you go into the grocery store today, I'm going to say everybody over 35 years of age, okay, you can go, okay, 1 out of every 10, somebody has type 2 diabetes. But here's what's alarming. About 80% of the population is pre-diabetic, and about 80% of those people have no clue they're pre-diabetic. Now, if you're pre-diabetic, you have to have insulin resistance. Like you can't be a type 2 diabetic unless you first had insulin resistance. And before that, or alongside of that, there's something called hyperinsulinemia, when you have elevated levels of insulin. And I'm going to show you guys what this looks like. If you have elevated levels of insulin, then you become insulin resistant, then you become type 2 diabetic. Now, anyone in their right mind or with a little bit of critical thinking would go, well, if I deal with it when I have hyperinsulinemia, then I won't be insulin resistant. And if I'm not insulin resistant, I won't ever be type 2 diabetic. Yes. Polycystic ovary syndrome. There's a whole bunch of young ladies out there that are living with PCOS, and you're trying to figure it out. And you don't realize that insulin resistance is insulin resistance of the ovaries. But they're going to put you on metformin, and they're going to have you focus on other things, tell you to lose some weight to deal with PCOS, but it's insulin resistance. And if you have insulin resistance, right, which is showing up as PCOS, a syndrome, which they don't have 100% clarity on what's causing it, then even though you may be able to get pregnant, for instance, 10 years from now, you still never dealt with insulin resistance. So parents who have kids, why would you keep this away from your kid? They need to know this. And you can go fact check everything I'm sharing, okay? Erectile dysfunction, guys. ED is real. ED is real. Insulin resistance. Like how many people with ED, think about all the guys that are probably taking blood pressure medication. Do you see the commonality? Do you see it? Now I'm sharing all this because I'm going to show you, and I'm here to help you. I'm not laughing at you. It could be improved. You could help yourself. Knowledge is power. Heart disease. Number one killer in the United States, in the world. Insulin resistance. You may be thinking, why hasn't my doctor said anything about? I don't know why your doctor hasn't. I have a lot of physicians that are my clients, and they didn't know this when I coached them. So it doesn't surprise me that your physician doesn't know. They have knowledge about it, and they could learn if they are willing to learn, right? We got to get past what's blocking them. Stroke. How many people do you know or have known in the last 5, 10, 15 years that left early because of stroke? Chronic inflammation. We talk about this all the time. Insulin resistance is real, people. I wrote a note here. High insulin keeps inflammatory pathways turned on. And those of you who know my work, you've heard me say things like this. And I normally will say insulin resistance is like a coin. It's one side of the coin. On the other side of the coin, we have inflammation. Inflammation drives insulin resistance. And if you haven't figured, we don't want insulin resistance. Now, insulin resistance contributes to joint pain, headaches, migraines, and autoimmune flare-ups. If I was an epileptic and I experienced seizures, I would want to know more about insulin resistance. If I had gout, I would want to know more about insulin resistance. If I had lupus, I would want to know more about insulin resistance. And most of you people don't. But I'm here to help you. I'm here to give it away, help you however I can. Cognitive decline in Alzheimer's disease. Insulin resistance is real. Why do you think they call Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes? And what did I say about type 2 diabetes? Insulin resistance comes before type 2 diabetes. It comes before type 3 diabetes, aka Alzheimer's. Sleep apnea. How many people do you know are struggling with sleep? And they think, I'm going to go buy some melatonin. It's got to be something else going on. Insulin resistance. And various cancers. And let me say it out loud. Chronically high insulin is a growth signal because it's an anabolic hormone and is linked to increased risks of breast, colon, pancreatic, and endometrial cancers. Well, I don't know about you, but knowing what I just shared with you and knowing that it's true, I would want to do something about my insulin resistance. All right, so you guys ready? All right, so I see Chrissy mentions PCOS, fibroids, insulin resistance. Insulin resistance is real. So let me show you guys how it happens. Like, what is insulin resistance? So I put together a little slideshow. Let's keep it simple. So as you can see, you got one woman who's got insulin resistance. She's insulin resistant. And we know that because we have a metabolic flexibility score. Now, everyone can get this score. Right now, you can get it by working with one of our certified coaches. You can get it if you work with me. And a quick and easy way you can get it today is by taking our 8-week fat loss challenge. You could take the challenge right now. I have provided a link. Take the challenge, and then you will know. You will know what your score is. I mean, you're talking less than 2 minutes. And then we're going to show you how to fix it, what you can do about it. Okay, so now some of you are like, well, okay, Robert, I still don't know what insulin resistance is. Okay, so give me a chance. Now, if you got questions, post them. You guys help me out. So Insulin is a hormone, and I'm going to go into better detail on that. But on the lady that's in the red and the arrows pointing up, whenever insulin is elevated, you cannot burn fat. Okay, you're not in a good place. And I'm going to explain how to bring it down. When insulin is low in your body, then you're burning fat. And that's where we all want to be. But most people are flamed. According to Tufts University, 93% of all adults have some level of insulin resistance. That's 9 out of 10 people. So when you go to wherever you go today and you count, less than 7% of all adults are what they call metabolically flexible. That means they don't have insulin resistance. So I'm speaking to the majority of people. And think about it. Let's say you're trying to fix PCOS, or you're trying to fix your migraines, you're trying to fix your blood pressure, but you never, ever look at insulin resistance. That means you're never going to the root cause. You're never going to know. And insulin resistance is driving a lot of problems. Okay, so let's get into it. Let's see. Now, let me minimize myself. Let's make this. There we go. All right, so everyone, okay, I'm speaking to now, if you're a type 1 diabetic, a lot of this does not pertain to you because your pancreas does not produce insulin. So that's a different seminar, a different conversation. So we're talking to everyone who has a pancreas and everyone who produces insulin, which is the large majority of everybody in our population. I believe it's less than 10% of people who have diabetes are type 1. So the bulk of everybody is type 2. That means they have a pancreas, and that means they're producing insulin. So we have a picture of a human body, and inside of our body, you can see right above the belly, we have a pancreas. Now that pancreas is a hormone. It's not sugar, it's not fat, it's not protein. The pancreas is an organ, and in the organ, it produces a hormone, which is a messenger called insulin. And insulin, as a hormone that is made by your pancreas, it is primarily known for helping to get sugar out of your blood and into the cells. So when we think about insulin, I want you to think of a key. So you can see there's one key up there, right? And insulin, it's a messenger. It gets called upon. It's almost like when sugar's in your blood. Let's say you ate a slice of bread, or maybe had some broccoli, maybe ate an apple. Once sugar's in your blood, people phone call. The neighborhood makes a phone call and tells your pancreas, hey, there is sugar in the blood. We need help. And the pancreas pushes out insulin. So the pancreas is triggered. Insulin is triggered, and insulin goes out, the key, and it goes to your cells. Fat cells, liver cells, could be muscle cells. And every cell has a door on it for that key. The door, the lock is it's called a receptor. And so all you gotta do is put the key in, turn it, and the door is going to open, and the sugar that's floating around in the blood gets to get out of the blood and go inside. That's when everything is working great. When it's working great, that means you don't have insulin resistance. That means you have insulin sensitivity. That's where we all want to be. You want insulin sensitivity. Okay. I'm going as fast as I can, you guys. Now, I changed the slide. Can you see that? Let's see here. I changed my position. Yeah, I'm going to go up there. Okay. Now, normally, you need one key. And as you can see, when it opens up that door, the sugar goes inside. Again, this is insulin sensitivity. This is not insulin resistance. This is when everything is going well. Now, I'm going to leave this because we're going to go to when things aren't going well. So you can see how insulin works. Anybody have any questions on this? The key goes to the door. The door is the cell. The key pushes it in smoothly, turns it, opens up that door, and the sugar, which is called glucose in your blood, goes right inside, and then you close the door. Now, if sugar just stays out in the blood and builds up, it can cause a lot of problems. That's why God designed us to have insulin, right? And God designed the world to discover insulin for people who don't have insulin being produced, like people who are type 1 diabetic. They will inject insulin to do the exact same job. But this is when everything is going well. This is not insulin resistance. This is called insulin sensitivity or insulin sensitive. Okay. Now, what is insulin resistance? Now, it doesn't happen overnight, but what happens is that one key that would normally go to open up the cell doesn't work. But what does work is multiple keys. So that means your pancreas has to push out more keys to get the door to open. Remember, it used to be one key. Well, now it's taking 5, 6, 7, 10, 20, 50, 100 keys because the door is being resistant. The cell is resistant, and you have to send more keys to force its way into that cell. This is insulin resistance. The door stops listening. The cell stops listening. And you need more and more insulin to get the job done. When this is happening, that's what's driving a whole bunch of challenges, and you have a lot of extra insulin floating around in your blood. This is what we call hyperinsulinemia. Hyper meaning elevated. Insulin is the hormone. Emia means it's in the blood. And when you have insulin resistance, that's when we go back to high blood pressure, weight gain, stubborn weight, fatty liver, triglycerides, low HDL, PCOS, erectile dysfunction, heart disease, stroke, chronic inflammation, cognitive decline, Alzheimer's disease, sleep apnea, and various cancers. Now, I'm going to explain how to reverse this. That's the good news. And I've been doing this for a long time. I've seen a whole bunch of people who used to be insulin resistant, and now they're not. Okay. So let me see. Who's catching me? Somebody's catching me on Facebook. So Vivian, thank you for posting this. I always like to say thank you even before I read it, because they could be like, this is terrible. I mean, I don't even know, but I just like to keep it real, and it is what it is. She says, what a great joy in my heart to share this to the entire public on how Dr. Solomon cured me from diabetes. I don't know who is Dr. Solomon. Okay. I don't know who that is, but hey, thank you for sharing. And I'm glad that worked out, that Dr. Solomon helped you out. Now, I don't have any of my clients sharing, but let me go to another one. Chrissy says, I know now that my hormones is affecting my weight loss, per knowing that insulin resistance played a huge part. Because if insulin's floating around, there is no fat oxidation, meaning the fat cannot leave the cell and be used for fuel and be burned when insulin is present. She goes on to say, I was told this, yet I question. I'm not sure, but know how this is changing for me. Okay, good job. Okay, let me see. There's Linda Jackson, one of our certified coaches, one of my clients, an amazing human being. Linda says, I am forever grateful that I was able to reverse my insulin resistance and get off all my meals. And it's true. It is 100% true. I coach Linda and still coach Linda. She was 1000% insulin resistant, and she did it. Like if you know Linda and you're looking for a coach, I would reach out to Linda because she's a great coach and she actually lived it. She had insulin resistance and she doesn't anymore. I mean, and as a result, like actually, Linda's a good example. And I need to highlight this part about you, Linda, because Linda had really good blood sugar. Like her blood sugar levels were great. Her doctor never had a problem with her hemoglobin A1C, never had a problem with her fasting glucose, not one time. But behind the scenes, she was experiencing hyperinsulinemia. She had insulin resistance. And we know that because we looked at all of her numbers. I coached her, I saw the numbers. And she had high blood pressure. Triglycerides were elevated. Like she had all the other symptoms, to include body fat and waist measurement, all of that. She had insulin resistance. And now she doesn't. And she went from 249 pounds to 125 pounds. But Linda was great because she actually was what we call compliant. She's a great client. She did exactly what I would ask her to do without hesitation. Not everybody's that way, and not everybody can do that. So it could take longer for some people, but she did. She rocked it. I mean, very impressive. She 1000% rocked it, and you deserve all the kudos in the world, Linda, in a big way. Okay, so now we can see that it's not about sugar, because some of the people who will watch me do these presentations, they'll go to their doctor and they're thinking sugar. Glucose, he was talking about no, I'm not. I'm talking about insulin. It's just that insulin has a relationship with glucose. It helps to get the glucose, the sugar, out of the blood and into the cells. And we have now learned that what used to be one key, now it takes multiple keys, which means elevated insulin, meaning your pancreas is working harder. It's working harder because the cells are not responsive. The door does not want to open. You are insulin resistant. And we have multiple ways of testing that to demonstrate that that is happening. Okay. Now, what do we do? Where do we go? How do we fix it? Well, when you're insulin resistant, you can't eat or focus just on calories. You must learn to eat in a way where insulin is not being triggered as much, and we give our body a chance for insulin levels to come down. So I'm going to look and see if there's any questions, because that was a lot. And I went a long way around to explain and teach that. So I'm going to open it up if there's any questions. I'm totally open to answering any questions that you guys have, because asking questions about insulin resistance is very important, because you could bring your calories down really low. And now I want you to hear me what I just said. I said not lose fat. So I'm going to give you an example. There's a weight loss program out there called Optavia. And Optavia is a program where they have people eat every 2 to 3 hours. Okay. They eat a lot of processed food. And a lot of people say, well, that's the problem. That is not the problem. Well, it's part of the problem, but it's not the main problem. But every time you eat, you're triggering insulin. So then someone with Optavia would go, yeah, but I lost 100 pounds doing it. Okay. Maybe you didn't have insulin resistance. And then the second part of that is, what type of weight did you lose? See, you can lose weight even on a GLP-1 drug because you're malnourished. You're not eating, you're not getting enough nutrition. We know you're not. That's how you're able to lose weight. But it's not fat. And they know through the Journal of American Medical Association that a big bulk of the weight loss is coming from lean body mass, skeletal muscle, which is not good, because as you lose skeletal muscle, you increase your risk for heart attack. You lose skeletal muscle, you age faster. You lose skeletal muscle, you put yourself at higher risk for multiple chronic conditions. So the type of weight that a person loses is very important. Now, the majority of people don't know this. And if they kind of heard it, they don't really know it, because they would go the extra mile to make sure the bulk of their weight loss was fat. Well, if your insulin levels are elevated because you're eating every 2 to 3 hours, it can't be fat, because biologically, physiologically, when insulin is present, there's no fat oxidation. You can't, your cells don't open up. They'll take things in, but they don't let things out. Now, you can come up with 1,000 reasons why you don't want to hear this or understand it. And some things are just science. This is just science. And some of you will never, ever know the truth. You'll just battle and struggle for a big part of your life and never win at weight loss. That's just the way it's going to be for some people. But people who get humbled and they go, all right, wait a minute. Like when I had my infomercial, people go, this brother's making some sense. And they would go and they bought my program because it made sense. And then we helped thousands of people lose weight. Well, if this is making sense, then I would say a baby step, take the challenge. A better step, because there is better, get a coach, whether it's with me, one of our coaches, that makes even more sense. Or do both, right? Because you could learn. Like, I'm a big believer. Like, if I was a client, I would be taking my challenge. I would be doing everything offered because it just makes sense. And then figure out how to make it where you can do it, right? Because a lot of people are in a situation where they know what to do, they're just not doing it. Or maybe they live in a house with a bunch of kids that eat like crap, and the husband or boyfriend that doesn't eat nowhere near the way they would like, and it just makes it so difficult. And then there's football games and this game and this party and eating this and travel here and go out to eat. So their environment is not helping them. You know, it's kind of like a guy who says, I'm not going to break any more laws. But yet all his friends are gang members. Not like that every gang member breaks laws, but let's say all his friends break laws. And if you hang out with that all the time, it does make it a little challenging to stay the course. It does. Okay. I don't see any other questions. Let me take a look. Feels good to be able to communicate as I'm being blocked on Facebook. Okay, let me see. Someone asked a question. Please don't say the solution is a low-carb diet. I think eating 1 meal a day with carbs is enough. Okay, that's hilarious. Thank you for sharing that. So let me address that. You obviously don't know my methodology, and you don't know that it's evidence-based and clinically proven, and that we've helped thousands, not 100, not 20, not 5 friends lose weight and be successful. And the fact that I've done it for 31 years and I've done a lot in this space. So you obviously don't know that. Now you do know that. I do not recommend eating 1 meal a day, because now if you do it from a religious standpoint, which I totally get, you want to honor your religion, your spirituality, that makes total sense. But all of my success, I have people eat 3 meals a day. And we always eat breakfast, especially my ladies who are over 35 years of age, because all of the data, all of the scientific proof, it is 1,000% as clear as Newton's law when it comes to gravity, that there's a thing called mTOR. There's a switch. If you do not get an adequate amount of protein in the morning, that switch does not turn on. And then that means that you don't preserve as much skeletal muscle, and it puts you in a position where the metabolism does slow, How many calories you burn throughout the day does happen, and that's not a win-win. Now, fortunately, I know what I know, and I've done what I've done, and we're proven. So you could come here and you could say, I eat one meal. God bless you. Keep eating one meal a day, and I hope it works out for you. But what we have proven, and as I mentioned, Linda, who went from 249 pounds to 125 pounds, she ate 3 meals a day and snacked when she was hungry. Debbie, who is on here right now, she went from 253 pounds to 140 pounds and ate 3 meals a day and snacked when she was hungry. Brett, who is on here, who lost 137 pounds, ate 3 meals a day, snacked when he was hungry, and he's good. And it goes on and on and on. See, this is why it's fun for me when I meet people and they say, well, okay, if you lost weight that way, great. But let me tell you how thousands of people have lost weight. Eating. Not low carb. We don't avoid anything. My clients are eating tortillas, bread, pasta, you name it. We learn how to eat. That's the big, giant, over-the-top difference. No theory over here. I'm not just on here just sharing. We've done it and continue to do it. And what we've done now is taken everything to the next level where you can find out what is your metabolic score, all backed up by science. Once you know your score, the way you eat, if you're insulin sensitive, is completely different than someone who's insulin resistant. And then there's levels of insulin resistance. That's the facts. And the blood work doesn't lie. So thank you for that. And welcome to A Diet-Free Life, where we don't diet. We don't avoid foods. It ain't about low carb or high carb, this carb, that carb. It's about learning how to pair foods in the right way so you can get results. And you got people on here on the live right now that have done it and are still doing it. Let me see. So Chrissy says, when you are working on not being insulin resistant, are you eating to keep your insulin from spiking? Always. So even in our challenge, I explain how when you pair certain foods, you're going to get bigger insulin spikes. So if I'm insulin resistant, I don't want those spikes. So then how do you pair your foods? Then you pair them the way it's going to help you, right? So for me, like I gave the example the other day when you have an omelet. So you got the egg as the protein. I have some veggies in my omelet, which is the slow carb in our system, for those of you who are new to this. And I wanted sourdough bread. So how can I have sourdough bread? Because I really want the butter. But I know that the butter, when you're insulin resistant, with the fat in the regular egg and you're insulin resistant, with the carb in the sourdough, is not a good combination. Now, if you're insulin sensitive, go for it. You're good. But if you have resistance, then you're changing the environment in your body. Insulin is going to be elevated because the thing that causes the greater insulin response, what triggers the most insulin, is breast milk. And what does that mean? High fat, high carb together is damage. So I like to do like an olive spread, which I buy, and I shared it instead of butter. Well, the olive is an anti-inflammatory fatty acid. The butter, I'm not going to say it's inflammatory, but it's saturated fat, and with carbs is going to mimic more of the breast milk. And I don't want high levels of insulin. So if I'm going to have that omelet and I just happen to like this olive spread instead, I mean, to me, they're even. I like them both. But in that situation, I'm going to go with the olive spread. Now, let's say you really want the butter, Christy. You say, you know, if I'm going to eat sourdough bread, which is great, sourdough bread converts to sugar much slower. Sourdough bread comes with resistant starch, which is gut friendly. It's a win-win bread. I've been preaching it for years, over 25, 30 years. When people thought I was crazy when I was saying, no, sourdough's better. I would rather eat sourdough than whole wheat. What? And now we know that to be true. I mean, I haven't been right on everything, but I've been right on a lot of things. But if I really wanted the butter, Chrissy, if I really wanted the butter on my sourdough, instead of eating a whole egg omelet, I'm going to do an egg white omelet. Doing an egg white omelet means I cut back the fat. And the only added fat would be the butter on my sourdough. That's a win. So what trumps what? I like whole eggs. So my whole eggs trump the butter because, well, my olive spread, I'm happy with that. Oftentimes, I actually like that even more. And then I'm going to cook my eggs in pan, I'm going to buy extra virgin olive oil spray. Just spray it and cook my eggs. I'm good. I'm not going to use butter because I'm aware of high fat, high carb can create disaster. So being aware of that one little tweak right there can make a huge difference for everybody. So I would go back. We're going to do a seminar. I'm doing a seminar later today for people in the challenge. I'm going to send out a promo. So if you're in the challenge, you're going to get an invite. You don't have to be there. The replay is going to be available. It's a condensed version of what we're doing here. And then I'm going to answer some questions. But I want to go over what is insulin? What is insulin resistance? How do we end up getting insulin resistance? And how do you lose weight with insulin resistance? Because it can make losing weight harder. And then how do I reverse my insulin resistance? And I can tell you right now that you can reverse it over time. It just takes time. I mean, it just takes time. In 10 years, every fat cell you have right now is replaced. In 120 days, every red blood cell you have is replaced. So the body is constantly replacing itself. But stem cells are sitting back waiting to be part of that replacement. Almost like replacement theory. And so you want those new cells to come into a healthier environment. That's why every year, if 10% of your cells are gone, fat cells, then that means the new fat cells that replace get to come into a healthier place. And in 10 years, I mean, you're a whole new person. I mean, amen. Okay. All right, let me check on Facebook and then I'm done. I hope this all made sense, but I would practice this, you guys. I would talk to people about it. I would educate people about it. Say, hey, do you know what insulin resistance is? And they go, no, what is it? You go, okay. And in order to help a person understand what insulin resistance is, remember every word that you're sharing, you got to bring clarity to what is meant by it, right? So if you want to understand what insulin resistance is, you need to know what insulin is. And then walk them through that. I mean, that's like a minute, maybe 90-second learning curve. And then you could explain it and use the keys to the doors, right? The door is the cells in the body. Every door has a lock. That's a receptor. Every key is insulin. Insulin can go up to every cell, to every lock, and it can put the key in, turn it, and open up the cell. Well, why would it want to open up the cell? Well, when we get too much sugar floating around in the blood, we got to get the sugar out of the blood if we're not going to use it for energy, and we need to put it away because it can create problems if it just floats around. So we put it in the fat cells, and the fat cells could use some of that energy, and whatever doesn't get used can get stored and can be later used and then later burned. So we just got to get the sugar out. Now, that's all great and dandy, But when you become insulin resistant, it's the cell, it's the door that becomes resistant. It's like the door, you go and you put the key in, and it normally would open, but for some reason it's not opening. So you got to push in more keys. It takes more keys to open up the door. Now the door is resistant. The cell is resistant to the key. The key is insulin. There you go. What's up? All right, I think we got it. I think we got it, people. Okay, let me see here. I heard a vegan say insulin resistance is caused by fat. No, insulin resistance is not caused by fat. Insulin resistance, right? So that's why it helps to understand, like, what is insulin? Insulin is not resistant. So how could insulin resistance be caused by fat? It's the cell, and largely the fat cell, that is not responding to insulin. So if insulin resistance is caused by fat, that doesn't even make sense, right? When you work it backward. So insulin resistance is when the cell is not responding, when the cell is resistant to the key of the insulin. And it can be caused by multiple things. Inflammation is one that can cause insulin resistance. High levels of cortisol or epinephrine, adrenaline, can cause insulin resistance. And eating every 2 to 3 hours and constant grazing can cause insulin resistance. And of course, the quality of food, because you're triggering insulin and the pancreas is working overtime, can cause insulin resistance. So it's not one thing, it's multiple things, but it's the cell that becomes resistant to insulin. It's not responding to insulin. That is insulin resistance. Great question. I hope you come in and do the 8-week fat loss challenge with us. We would love to have you. All right, you guys, thank you. I will be back mañana. I know the Super Bowl follows this video. I don't have any team. I don't know. I watch one game a year. And this year, may the best team win. I just hope it's a fun, good game. So I'm going to check it out with my daughters. I beg them to watch it with me every year since they've been born. And so I'm going to do that. And before that, I'm going to go live and share something that makes sense, that I think could be helpful to those of you who are looking for knowledge and information. But do me a favor, make sure you like, subscribe if you're here. Share this video with other people, especially those who are type 2 diabetic, high blood pressure, high triglycerides, people struggling to lose weight. They're looking for knowledge. They're looking for information. Share this with them, and hopefully there's some knowledge. There's something that I shared that can be helpful to whoever is watching. That is the goal. And if you have questions, you can email me directly. My contact information is under the video in the description area. Feel free to reach out and I'll help you the best I possibly can. Okay. I'm going to go. I got one more question because I think my new friend here is new. So no, that's Chrissy. She says, I love football, so I'll be watching. And yes, may the best team win. And then my friend here, Songs the Second. So what should we eat? Hey, click on the link and learn about the 8-week fat loss challenge. That's a good place to start. Outside of that, the only tip I can give you as I'm getting ready to end here is work really hard to eat as close to nature as you possibly can. That means if there's a barcode on it, if it's packaged, that's further from nature. You know, like an apple is close to nature. You can grab an apple off a tree, right? Grapes, you can get a grape. Even a potato, you can dig it up out of the ground. That's the easy, quick answer for you because it can be complex, and I don't want to be disrespectful and just throw out ways because I'm not a diet guy, right? I'm totally against conventional dieting. I'm all about education, nutrition education, and learning how to eat what you have access to. but eat those foods in a way where you can get results. All right. All right, you guys. God bless. Be well. And I'll see you mañana. Peace out.
In a world of dice, there's a new way to see. No more counting calories, just living free. Robert Ferguson's got the plan you need. With diet-free life, it's the key. No more starving, getting rid of inflammation. Choosing healthy choices, providing you with sound information. Bringing balance to hormones and insulin through food. With DFL, teaching you food choices to see you through. DFL, we're teaching you to eat